Hi folks, my perspective here. How important is it, do you think it is, to pay attention? You see, here's a man on his cell phone. If he's not paying attention to his surroundings, he could walk into a road. And if you saw the man doing this, and you didn't shout out and warn him, well, that would make you wicked. We are under obligation to look out for each other. You see, you can't just say, well, it's this man's own fault because he didn't pay attention, and then leave the outcome of his blindness and say it's his own fault. We have to help each other. Now, in this regard, there are some people, right, who are saying that, you see, that the ocean's round, it's curved. And they're taking their cameras and they're saying, well, we're going to film a ship going around the curve of the ocean. And you see, it's my duty to point out that this man is lying to you. And we're going to prove it. And at the end, there's undeniable proof that he's lying. So now I'm going to show you. But we're going to work our way through the information slowly and prove consistently that this person who calls himself Wolfie 6020 and people like him, well, they're trying to deceive you. So if we look at the footage, right, there's a clue. The first clue we get is from the light. See, there's a light, and then the light reflects off the ocean. So how does this help us? So they're saying there's the ship going over the curve. Reflections on the ocean. You see, what is reflected above is reflected equally below. That means the horizon separates what's above, below evenly, perfectly. So in his footage, when the light reflects off the ocean, the horizon would be between those two lines. So do you understand? It's the same as the sunset. When the sun hits the ocean, you see it reflected on the ocean and in the sky at the same time. That's the horizon line. So the point is that when the ship leaves you, what's above is perfectly reflected below. So because of water vapor in the air and weather conditions, it's sometimes not that clear. And these people use that to trick you. Now we're going to prove it to you in another way. Also keep in mind that if you take your camera and you drop it towards the ground, because of the curve of the lens, and you can test this out yourself, you'll see that a false horizon will rise up. But if we take that out of the picture, right, because some people can use this to try and fool you. So how do we know there's no curve? And we're going to work our way through it. Well, it's simple. If there was a curve, that means you'd be standing in a donut of water. Why? Well, he'll tell you now, if you turn your camera or your telescope left and right, it's got to be the same curve. It means you're in a donut of water. It's simple. That's why he's lying. In another way, if they say, no, there's a ball in front of you, well, the same curve that is from your position to the horizon must also be the same curve left and right. So if you turn your telescope around, back facing away from the curve, well, the only reason why you see the horizon in front of you and behind you, it has to be flat. There is no curve. There cannot be a curve. You cannot see a piece of a ball. You have to see the whole ball to understand it. So in reality, when the ship leaves your position, it follows the same line of sight. And now we're going to prove this. The ship simply follows the same line of sight. If you don't move your camera or your telescope, the ship will follow the same line of sight. If the ship, there was a curve, the ship's position along that line of sight would change. We don't see this. And I'm going to prove it to you because we're going to look at video footage. So the ship's angle to you doesn't change. It follows the same line of sight. There is no curve. Right? Now we're going to get to undeniable proof towards the end of this clip. Right? So this is what happens. The ship follows the same line of sight. As it leaves your position, it simply just gets smaller into the horizon. If you don't touch the camera and you don't touch your telescope, that's what you see. So ship leaving you, ship coming into harbour. Watch the ship. Look at the horizon line in connection with the ship. Stays in the same place, in the middle of the ship. Same as in this. There's a ship, the camera is lowered to the water. The ship maintains its same line of sight above the water. Means there's no curve. There's no observable curve on the ocean whatsoever. So they might say, well, you see, there's not enough ocean to see the curve. Well, if I attach a camera to the back of the ship and point it towards the telescope, well, I must see the same thing, right? So now think. So here's footage of a ship. Now the camera is attached to the back of the ship. The horizon line stays in the same position. There's no trickery here. And now you just watch the landmass move away from you. And the lights come on because the sun's setting. There's no curve. Now, this proves undeniably, that there's no curve. So how? Now I want you to think. Look at the clouds. And now think. How does this prove undeniably that the ocean is flat? I think because you're forming from the back of the ship. So if the ship was going around a curve, right, and the camera's fixed to the back of the ship, your angle to the clouds would change. Because as the ship goes over the curve, its angle to the clouds would change. And it doesn't. In other words, the clouds should roll around your position. The clouds should roll around towards the horizon. So as you're turning over the curve of the ocean, the new sky behind you would roll in. Right? And it doesn't happen. You see, it's simple things like this that prove that the oceans are flat. So look at the clouds far in the background and high up in the sky. As you move away from the harbour or the landmass, the clouds stay the same. So there is no curve in the ocean. These people are lying to you. So how important is it to pay attention? It can actually cost you your life if you don't pay attention. And you know, at Matthew 7 verse 13, Jesus said that the majority of humans are on a broad road leading to destruction. In Matthew 24 from verse 37 to 29, he enlarged on it and he said, it'll be just like Noah's day. They paid no note until the flood swept them away. So they got destroyed, not because they were bad, but because they didn't listen and they paid no attention to what Jesus said, or to what Noah said, and to the world around them. John 5 verse 25. And I encourage you to go and read John 5 verse 25. And Jesus says plainly there that those who pay attention will be saved. So I want to encourage you to open your eyes and think. The days we're living in are wicked. So pay attention. So cheers and thanks for watching.